listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another instant reaction 23 Personnel Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
What a time to get your first sack of the entire game. So I'm gonna go overly positive on this, right? Is that the plan? So Jaden Cofield totally redeemed himself, gets the sack, even though somehow that's not being credited yet to him. Maybe because it was a 2-point conversion, or maybe it wasn't for a loss. I don't even know. But excellent timing to finally get to the freaking quarterback. So 1-point win at home versus FCS ACU. How are you?
Not well.
It went just like we all thought it would go, didn't it?
Y'all remember when we struggled to beat Central Arkansas?
Oh, that was nothing. That was nothing looking back.
Yo.
It was nothing compared to tonight. You know, Houston Christian, blip. Stephen F. Austin, blip. Overtime win because a 2-point conversion failed against FCS ACU at home. I think that's going to be, I'm going to say a lot of letters. I may say FCS ACU a few more times. Okay, I'll probably stop. But I mean, it just feels like 6-6 is the ceiling for this team right now. Is that where you are? Is that too harsh? Is that too grounded? Is it too accurate? Remains to be seen.
It's difficult because it's week one. But everybody's saying that, like, the only thing you can learn from a week one game like this is if you're really bad.
Yeah.
I think we're there.
It's been true so far. Think back to those Houston Christian, Stephen F. Austin years. Were those enjoyable? No. Absolutely not. One of them eventually got a coach fired.
Excited for this season, not because I thought you were going to be some dark horse contender, going to look at going 10-2. I mean, 2 weeks ago I said 8-4 and felt pretty good about it. Dude.
I had 7-5, and I was about to flip that. I don't know I can't remember. Yeah. Do we even want to mention that Washington State scored 70 today? They had 63 before the fourth quarter started. I guess it's dumb to word it that way. I mentioned it in my question.
Let's see.
I should have brought my ice cream with me. I've got my happy or sad ice cream in the fridge. Just one more serving of that peanut butter chocolate overload from Bluebell, and I think that's going to happen. I should have eaten it on camera. Everyone would have loved that.
7-5.
We disagreed on something. It doesn't matter what it was. I think I had us losing in Pullman, and you had us.
I'm going to losing next week.
Oh,
as well.
Just seemed like at the time you think, okay, that's a tough road trip. We saw how that went last year, but now, especially seeing how tonight went, I feel like. To me at least, the story is the defense or lack thereof, which I tried to prepare myself for. But I don't know how many times ACU's number one receiver can slip behind coverage. Apparently 7 times for 141 yards. Texas Tech allowed 615 yards tonight, folks. They allowed 506 through the air and 109 on the ground. And at the same time, managed 11 penalties, most of them false starts, one of them on all 11 players.
So, when they talk about, like, guys that coaches that say they're going to play two quarterbacks. Well, if you got two, you got none. I think maybe just me being pessimistic here. Maybe it's reading too much into week one. I think when you chirp all freaking offseason about the depth, or we're going to play 25 guys on defense, maybe because they're none of them worth a damn. Maybe it's because they all freaking suck and you couldn't figure out which 11 you wanted to play. And maybe we should have seen when they said Caleb Rogers is for sure going to be your starter. Maybe that should have been a red flag. And maybe going back to the PFF grade on Porsche, grading out in the mid 50s, he's going to be starting left tackle. Our offensive line is going to be garbage. An FCS team ate your lunch tonight. You escaped because they didn't want to go back and forth on 2-point plays. They were like, I want to end this game now. And they shot their shot. And before you called a timeout, you had 3 defenders lining up over their 4 receivers. Like, you weren't even moving anybody out there. You had 3 guys standing over their 4 receivers. And then McGuire called a timeout. And then the second time, like, maybe we should balance that out a little bit.
I did want to, that reminded me of something, you know, as ACU took the field in overtime, and their first 2 plays were just passes straight to the end zone. I thought, man, what are y'all doing? You guys have
They gave it away.
You've been dinking and dunking this whole night. I know, but I think it's because they knew on third down they could get 11 yards, and that's exactly what they did. So I don't think they were that worried about it.
I was a little relieved that the first 2 plays were shots into the end zone on fades. Or no, it was their last possession in regulation. The first and second down from the 3, they threw fades into the end zone. Like, well, I feel much better about potentially getting a stop here, because the rest of that drive, they just got whatever the hell they wanted. And I was like, this feels inevitable. It feels like we're going to give up a touchdown with 2 seconds left to FCS Abilene Christian, and really have to start answering some tough questions. Because I think there's going to be enough people like, well, we still won. And there are things to learn here, but there's going to be enough hidden because we won this game that you're not going to be like, you were supposed to beat them by 5 touchdowns. You were 35-point favorite. You were 5 touchdown favorite. You gave up 50 points at home to an FCS team with a bunch of your rejects. That's going to be bad. It's going to be bad.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm trying not to overlook into things, but I think we also need to examine the history and how this has affected the outcome of previous seasons. This type of performance and this type of defense. I was hoping for more from the secondary. We didn't get it. I was hoping for a little bit more from the defensive line. We didn't get it. I wasn't hoping for that much, you know, because last year, even with the guys we had up front, we weren't getting to the quarterback consistently. Definitely not tonight.
Mm-mm.
And it looks like that's just going to be the way things are going to go. If they are unable to stand up against this team and get a quarterback, I think they got him. I think they got 2 hurries on him last I checked, and that was going into overtime. I don't know if there was one that got counted in overtime or not.
No.
So 2 hurries and then 1 sack on the final play of the game, and that was it.
They're not giving him a sack because they're saying it was a rush attempt.
Ah, okay.
So it was a tackle for
So
loss.
it's not even technically a sack. That's what I was trying to find out before we hit record, and I was too slow. I was too slow, like our cornerbacks.
It's Cofield. Yeah, he has a tackle for loss. One tackle for loss. Let's turn our sights real quick to to the YouTube chat. We're joined by several of our friends here.
Hey
Let's
guys,
let's make sure that we're not neglecting any of these times. Maddie says, "I want to go back to a time before college football."
you always want it to get here, and then when it gets here, sometimes you regret it.
I feel like that blonde chick from the Matrix before she gets unplugged. Not like this. Yeah, that's not how I wanted college football to come back. I was excited. I was excited
Oh,
for the return of the season, and
I'm
again,
still excited.
not because I thought we were going to run the table and be national title contenders, but this ain't it, man. I can't sign up for 14 weeks of this.
14 weeks of us.
Saint Ryan says I'm still not okay. Yeah, I'm not. Um, Nathan says we are so bad. Greg says G's got to be better on third.
Great point. We
Let's
were 8 of Texas Tech was
yeah,
8
there
of
you go.
15 tonight from offense on third down. And I watched the majority of this game at a friend's house, and we had the kids running around and stuff. So I kind of caught up to the stats side of it the last 5 minutes of game time or so. So I may be missing some things, but yeah, I didn't really notice how bad Tech was on third down.
I mean, 53%. It's not bad, but you gave up nearly 70%. They were 11 of 16 on third downs, and they were third down in 6+. They averaged 6.1 yards per third down. You averaged 6.6. So it's not like it was a bunch of third and ones. They were third and, I mean, obviously manageables for them. They were 2 for 3 on third and longs of 9 yards or more, 3 of 5 on third and shorts. Average yards gained per attempt on third down, Michael's 14.1 yards. They were 11 of 14 passing on third down for 223 yards.
Oof.
You were 4 of 8 for 51 yards.
They got a third of their yards on third down.
Average yards per completion on third down for them was 20.3 yards. So they were gashing you. Like, again, it wasn't, we're going to pick up a couple of yards and just move the sticks. No, we're picking up 20 yards per completion on third down. 15.9 yards per attempt. They picked up 2 third downs on the ground. Sorry. They were 1 of 2 on running it. You were 4 of 7 running it on third down. Okay. Where were we? It looked like 2016. Let's go back to Nathan. It looked like 2016 guys just running past our DBs at will. I want to give, want to make sure that we understand, like, Braylon Lux was missing, but geez. That's just one guy. We are most definitely playing 3 quarterbacks again this year.
Well, we played 2 tonight, technically.
And it was...
I hated that. I hated that play call.
Absolutely.
I hated it before the snap, to be on the record.
I hated pulling him right back out. If you're gonna put them in there,
do it, just
do it. If you're gonna do it,
obviously
do
it was for a 2nd and 1 situation or something, not a 3rd and 15 or whatever it was. But man, what a crazy time to do that. What an absolutely ballsy, insane, crazy time to put in a quarterback when you're on the ropes against FCS ACU. And you have to score. And you have to score here. And can we go back to, I'll give him credit here, though. I'll give Kitley credit here. The 2-point conversion. Whew. Thank goodness for that.
That wasn't his call.
Well, whoever made that decision. No. When Texas Tech had a 2-point conversion on their first touchdown,
it was the second touchdown, but they lined up in the swinging gate like they were ready to kick the extra point. That wasn't an offensive play.
Oh, so that you don't think
It
Kitley
was
had
a
any?
no, it
So
was a
Kitley doesn't get credit for that.
not in my book. It was a direct snap to Conyers.
Well, it's a good thing they did that.
Oh, for sure. You would have lost this game in
The
regulation.
math, the math doesn't math if you don't get that extra point.
Yeah. That last second field goal would have been to win it. St.
Yeah.
Ryan, not gonna lie, I thought Joey learned from his preseason hype from the past couple of seasons. I guess I was wrong.
He seemed a little more subdued with the hype this time, but yeah, to echo what you said earlier, the depth seemed to be the
Well,
thing they
and
kept hammering this year. And
and he kept coming like, I'm so excited for this team. It's I'm most excited for this team.
I know, I think we all have to realize.
You're excited for this one?
Yeah, no, I think we all have to realize that, as most coaches do, he speaks in hyperbole. Uh, we have the best fans in the country. We have the best facilities in the country. We have the best band in the country. We have, I mean, if you just listen and you hear it, because my wife and I, we binge watched episode 1 through 4 of The Brand, and she just kept perking up every time he said something like that. And I'm like, yeah, I guess, when someone else hears something that they're not used to hearing all the time, it's like, oh, the best whatever in the country too, the best nutrition folks in the country. It just kept going. You kind of have to realize, okay, this is who he is.
Yeah.
This is how he talks. We've got to adjust how that might actually be in the real world, as opposed to how it's supposed to be perceived. Yeah, sorry, we got a lot of comments. I keep running through them. Oh, one of
No,
them.
you're good. You're good.
One of them, I kind of jumped ahead because Nathan mentioned early about Kitley. This is from Nathan. Kitley's big brain nearly gave the game away again. 2nd and 1 from the 6, ends up 3rd and 15.
Was that the Cameron Brown?
Yeah, pretty sure.
And the false start on everybody, and then the half-ass snap that went nowhere. Like, luckily, I guess it was blown dead because there was no effort put in that snap. It was like,
I don't know what that was.
Thomas Mooney, Rogers not starting at center wasn't a sign that Wilson was great. It was a sign our tackles were dog shit. I mean, I guess not bad enough to have Rogers out there at tackle, but I don't know. I guess not developing offensive line from the high school depths and then trying to plug and play guys from lower level is their strategy. This ain't it. I don't know. This is like something that Blanchard and staff need to reevaluate. Like, going after athletes maybe doesn't really apply to offensive linemen. Like, I don't know. Like, this was not good. And I feel like I've said that a lot, and I probably will continue to say it. Anyways, Nathan, not to excuse the defense, but this offense doesn't complement the defense at all. The defense is weak, and we consistently ran hurry up, giving an offense that was torching them ample time all game.
I'll say one thing about the offense. Texas Tech never went 3 and out tonight. That's something. And I think they only allowed 1 sack. I know we're piling on the offensive line a little bit, but they did only allow 1 sack.
And okay, to be fair to the offensive line, like, when that happened, that was very much like, that's on Morton. Like, that pocket collapsed around him. He had ample time to get rid of that ball or do something else. He just stood there and just got crunched.
But the penalties, though.
Oh, the penalties were, I think,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 false starts. And I think only one of them was on the wide receiver. I think Kelly got one. But the rest
he just
were on.
took off running like.
Yeah.
Okay, dude.
Which we should do some positives. Kelly, fantastic game. Hello,
McCray.
welcome.
McCray,
McCray,
welcome.
yes.
Picking right back where he left off last year as the best returner. He had three.
Conyers with the touchdown catch that wasn't a touchdown catch. I'm really glad that he got that. There's no way that was a catch. Did you see that?
No, it was. His foot was down when he
His,
caught it. It came
but
up.
it wasn't really. It was kind of bobbling. I I was telling the people we were watching it with, I was like, if this was an
It's good.
ESPN game, they would have had good enough video to overturn that. But since it's ESPN Plus, we just keep on
So you're
trucking.
you're taking shots at the Texas Tech broadcasting department. Is what you're doing.
Well, maybe a little bit.
My man David Hoagland and his staff. You're taking shots at them, huh?
We don't have to name names. It's not shots if it helps us.
Yeah. Like, okay, so the beginning of the game, I don't know what happened. I don't know if you just ran out of your script, which is something that happens with this offense often. Once you get out of that, you're like, I don't know what we're gonna do next. 10 play, 71-yard touchdown drive to start the game, 2 play, 17 yards, 6 play, 75 yards. And then after that, you had your big McRae return, 4 plays, 5 yards.
Yeah. Oh, that hurts so bad.
But then you followed that up.
To have a return by that nullified by just such inept offense.
And it was so fast.
Yes.
It felt. Well, yeah, a minute 38. You did follow that up, 9 play, 70 yards touchdown. You had your only punt of the night, 4 plays, 31 yards.
It's a good looking punt too.
Next drive,
I love punts. I know you don't, but I do.
you had 2 turnovers in the next 3 drives. Turnover on downs, 13 play, 67 yards. 1 play, 35-yard touchdown. Then a 5 play, 20-yard turnover on downs. After you had just stuffed ACU to take them, to take the ball back on downs. Field goal, touchdown. Okay, sorry. We were in the comments. Greg, I will say the hidden thing for the ACU offense was that was probably 70% real Leach air raid. Hadn't seen that since the bowl game against Mississippi State, but defense has to do something. You know what you did against that Mississippi State team? Didn't give up 51 freaking points.
Well, everybody and their dog was hurt. That's what I was told in Memphis. But
let's see. Hold on.
but still, no, it was a dominant. That was a very dominant defensive performance.
34. You won the game 34-7.
Yeah, absolutely.
Donovan Smith threw for 252 yards and a touchdown, ran for another one. He beat them in the Liberty Bowl. Let's go back at the box score real quick. Held Will Rogers, starting quarterback for Mississippi State, 32 of 53 for 290 yards, 5.5 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Donovan, 15 of 28 for 252 yards, 9 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. You held them to 54 rushing yards while you put up 260. I kind of miss the Cumbie offense. I'm just going to say it. I miss it.
It's okay.
All right. And that was like a legit Leach. It wasn't like it was an air raid. It was a Leach air raid team.
Absolutely, it was.
All right. Nathan, Joey's either going to come out of this looking like a genius head coach or a bum. Make or break season at this point. Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be hard to get back. I mean, again, I think it's gonna be hidden because you won this game. But like this feels like a loss, and it feels like a bad loss. I was like, Emilio, 615 yards, 51 points. We're in trouble. Also 11 penalties. Yeah, this is the most penalties we've had, maybe ever in a game under McGuire. I don't have that number in front of me. But
It's an instant reaction. It's fine.
8 on offense, 3 on defense. Um, of the 3, 2 of them converted into first downs. You had an offsides on inside the 1. I mean, you gave up half a yard. Okay, whatever.
That penalty
Um,
on Cofield was weak. That
I
was some
get it though.
that was some BS stuff, man.
He hit him low after the ball was out.
But the way his head was positioned, he didn't know the ball was out. I don't think. I mean, I felt he's looking at McIver's feet, you know,
but now
and they're
you're
still
trying
moving.
to you're trying to attribute an intent there, and that's not.
We do it for targeting.
Well, that's
Why
different.
not do it for a 15-yard penalty at the end of a very, very costly drive? We need to just review more stuff, Spencer. That's what it is.
Yeah. Offense, of your 8, 6 of them were false starts. Porsche, Kelly, Carter, Scurry, everybody, and Wilson. Thomas Mooney, remember when we were all scared Joey was going to use us as a stepping stone? Laughing face. Apparently, he's in the press conference, or at least was while after we had started. I'll be interested to see what he says. And of course, in my snarky, I'll never ask this question in real life. I was like dreaming up like what I would ask him. To see if we can get any kind of truth nuggets, instant reaction from a coach. Last sunrise, we want Michigan. No, we do not.
You know what? I complained about this earlier. So I was enjoying the Fox Big Nooner broadcast like I usually do, and until the rain delay, and so I had to quit watching it. But what threw me off is at the halftime of the Penn State West Virginia game. Man, are they hyping up the Michigan UT game next week? And they had a countdown. 6 days, 23 hours. What you know, and you're just guys, let's come on. So that was just an excuse for me to spill that out there. I found that very annoying during the halftime of another game that they were just hyping next week's game so much.
Yeah. And then the next few of these, Nathan was replying to something we said at the time, but he said just get points at that point and go up 18. I believe that was the drive where you had the long kick return followed up with a field goal, or maybe it was the turnover on downs. 3 possessions, letting Cumbie go was a mistake. And then St. Ryan's at least Taj had 153 yards. Can we go back to that?
Let's do that. There are some positives,
But can I say,
mostly on offense.
like, it felt like Brooks's yards came on like 3 carries, and the rest of them was like really frustrating watching him struggle. Like, he should not be struggling against this level of opponent. So him finishing with 27 carries and 153 yards, like that feels like a mid-season form type game. It pisses me off, and maybe it's because of like we were in a rock fight with an FCS team. The rest of the team combined for 5 carries. We're going to run Taj Brooks into the ground. Like if he survives this season, it will be a miracle. You can't have Cameron Valdez 1 carry, Cameron Dickey 1 carry, Cam Brown 1 carry, Baron Morton 2 carries. One of those was a sack.
Oh, and please don't have Morton go block for Taj either. That did happen one play, and it made me nervous. At least he was leading with his left shoulder.
Yeah. Cam asked, why do we use gimmick quarterback runs instead of feeding Taj? I mean, I guess we got to give him a break, which is fine. Like I'm all for giving him a blow, giving him some rest, but you've got 3 other running backs on the roster. Like let Valdez take a handoff. Let Dickey take a handoff. Like, what are we doing? It doesn't have to be Morton. It doesn't have to be Brown either. You don't have to say, well, if it's not Brooks, we gotta run out a running quarterback.
Right.
You know, you won't
You
be
might as well
great.
just tell. You might as well just tell. Hey, Keith. Keith, you know what we're gonna do here, don't you? Oh yeah, yeah. You're gonna direct snap to the. Yep, we got it.
Which
Just
I
let
could
him know.
understand, like not giving an F if the DC on the opposite side of the field knew what you were doing. If you could block it, like, well, then try to stop us.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I thought would have been really interesting to see? Put a Brown in there with two running backs.
There's something we don't see.
Two running backs. Some blockers. Put in 22 personnel. Yeah,
Put Conyers back there.
telegraph that we're gonna run it. Maybe sneak Josh Kelly into the pattern, but so yeah, like okay, I don't know, man. Had they done that, we would have been like banging our head against the wall. Like they telegraphed it. We got 1 freaking yard. Be more creative. Yeah, I get that. Lead blocker Barron. Yeah, let's not do that. Also no Hudson. He ran one go route up the left side, and it looked like Barron never looked that direction. Um, Not a good look on the broadcast. I don't think it was intentional, but they caught him. This was late in regulation. He was moving, and I think he went in front of the camera, but like he rolled his eyes hard. I was like, ooh,
Who did? Was it Morton or Hudson?
no, Micah Hudson.
Mm.
I was like, that's not a good look. Um, Nathan asked, we ever had two running backs on the field at the same time? No, we haven't had that since Kelly's been here. Two tight ends aside from goal line. Yeah, please.
That'd be wonderful.
St. Ryan, hear me out. Put three quarterbacks in.
We've done that before.
That's not. Thomas Mooney, it takes guys more than one carry to get any kind of rhythm. Yeah, like you can't say, well, Brooks was doing this, or we couldn't let somebody else, we couldn't afford to give somebody else time. Well, if you don't take any carries away from Brooks, like there will not be a Brooks at the end of the season. I'm sorry.
Well,
like I don't want to be like, I don't want to speak it into existence. I want to manifest this. I don't want to have this come back and like, oh, Spencer said, and look what happened. But like, I don't want to run him 27 times a game. I don't.
why is everyone hung up on this record? Didn't Hanspard do it in 3 seasons?
Yeah.
Brooks is going to have 5? Isn't that already an asterisk?
I think because it's so unusual to see a team that like literally known for the air raid have a guy close to setting the school rushing record with not an offensive system that's jamming down your throats. I don't know. Going back, you said Kelly had himself a night. I don't think we gave him enough, dude. 10 catches, 156 yards, only one touchdown. He could have had more catches, more yards, had Morton hit him in stride or thrown to him. There were a couple misses that he had. I mean, he was targeted 15 times and he had 10 catches. A couple of those were like outside of his reach. There was one catch where he dove. I was like, how'd you hit him in stride? He probably scores there. Maybe that gets cleaned up, or maybe like Baron Morton, the 14th quarterback in the Big 12. I mean, maybe that has some truth to it. Coy Aiken, 5 catches, 76 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Conyers, 5 catches, 63 yards, a touchdown. Caleb Douglas, 4 catches, 1 touchdown. I'm because it happened late. I'm going to complain about it real quick. When Caleb Douglas scored that touchdown in overtime and did that really elaborate celebration, I was like, what the heck? What are we doing?
I know.
What are we doing?
I feel so old, but that was my first thought too.
It's like,
Like,
guy,
where did this belt come from? Why was this belt not hidden under the stadium once it ticked into overtime?
we're passing around a belt for scoring touchdowns, and we're dancing on the sidelines and acting really stupid. Like, we're in overtime with an FCS opponent. Drop all that stuff in the trash can in the third quarter. Like, why if I like you want to celebrate, then go do something. Because I mean, 52 points is yay 50 burger. Put a feather in Kitley's cap, I guess, but like, dude.
Well, I remember, and then I think the very next play was ACU coming out, tossing McIver tossed a dime to Taylor, who just somehow didn't end up with it. And the DB who didn't make the play on Taylor was over just immediately like incomplete, and celebrating. I'm thinking, yeah, guys, but whoo,
It was close. And there was a
it was
throw.
really, really close.
There was a throw into the end zone to Trey Cleveland, too, that like was barely broken up. I was like, we are teetering on disaster here, guys.
Oh man, I know.
Like, a 1 point victory over FCS is bad enough, but like losing and having all the celebration y'all did in this game, it's just it's embarrassing. Um, yeah. So I don't know, Michael. We were talking about in the drive breakdown. You did really well early on in the game. 22 points in the first quarter, 10 in the second, 7 in the third, 6 in the fourth. You started out fast, but you gave up 24 points in the second half to ACU, 17 in the fourth quarter. Like, you look gassed.
Yes, the rushing. The one thing that I was sort of maybe not high on, but felt like was working well was rushing defense until about halfway through that third quarter. I've started feeling the same way you did. I think they were just gassed at that point. And I know that ACU only had 100 and something yards, like 10. It was less than 110, 106 or whatever. I don't have that screen pulled up anymore. But I think they got quite a few on
109.
that. I think they got quite a few on the, on the third quarter, fourth quarter. I just think that our guys couldn't contain them anymore.
They got 78 of their yards in the second and third quarters. They got 14 in the first quarter, 13 in the third. Sorry. 14 in the first quarter, 13 in the fourth. So most of their rushing yards came in the second and third quarter. Their passing yards really ticked up in the fourth quarter, 167 passing yards in the fourth quarter. You were really balanced in terms of number of runs throughout the game. 9 in the first quarter, 8 in the second, 6 in the third, 7 in the fourth. But it definitely looked like your rush offense was finally able to lean on maybe some fatigue on their end, because you picked up 16 yards in the third quarter, 47 in the fourth. You had 161 total on the night. 61 in the first quarter, 28 in the second, 16 in the third, 47 in the fourth, and 9 in overtime. So, anyways, lots to unpack here. Lots to scratch your head about. Lots to look ahead and say, like, we're going to be bad.
Would you like a quick look around the Big 12 just kind of as a palate cleanser?
It's not going to help, but yeah, let's do it.
Okay. First, scoring update. I don't know if you've seen this yet. New Mexico on the road at number 21 Arizona is leading 24-17.
Going in almost halftime there.
Yep, almost
Wow.
halftime. Arizona has the ball.
What a
Also,
bounce back.
you mentioned Wyoming. That's why I wanted to get to this.
Oh,
Arizona State
gravy.
at home hosting Wyoming. Halftime, Wyoming 0, Arizona State 27.
Almost like we jinxed it, Michael. Arizona just tied it on a 70-something yard touchdown.
Oh, they did? I knew they had the ball. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine hasn't updated that fast.
T-Mac, 5 catches, 199 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Good.
He's got 200 receiving yards and 5 catches. 3 touchdowns. So Arizona State's going to win a game.
Yeah,
Good for
it's looking
them.
that way.
West Virginia lost at home to Penn State, which we thought was a possibility.
Yeah, crazy. What was it? An hour and a half weather delay? It was something like that.
remember.
It was very long.
Oklahoma State pulled away, took care of business against South Dakota State 44-20. Kansas State 41-6, UT Martin. Cincinnati 18-point favorites over Towson 38-20. Iowa State very boring 21-3 victory over North Dakota. Baylor 45-3 victory over Tarleton State. Houston lost big to UNLV. They were like a 1-2 point favorite, lost by 20. 27-7. BYU 41-13 victors over Southern Illinois. You all know it by now, but Utah won over Southern Utah 49-0. Kansas put away Lindenwood, whoever that is, 48-3. UCF took care of New Hampshire 57-3. And Colorado escapes North Dakota State 31-26. TCU takes down Stanford 34-27. So Houston, the only Big 12 team to lose in week 1, although New Mexico.
Well, West Virginia.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. West Virginia and Houston. Arizona State and Arizona still playing. Arizona tied, 4:21 left in the first half. Arizona State up 4 touchdowns. Wyoming.
Yeah, that's not at all going like I thought it would.
No. All right. Anything else, Michael?
Not really, man.
All right.
I'm disappointed. I'm like you. I wasn't thinking, oh man, this is the year Texas Tech's going to get in the college football playoff. Although that's all these broadcasters talk about, and it's freaking August. But
just for 51 more minutes.
Yeah. But disappointed. I do unfortunately think it's a sign of things to come. I don't see how this defense is going to get fixed overnight and go up to Pullman and take down a team that just scored 70 today. Hey, St. Ryan, everything will be okay. Love you guys. Hey, we love you too, brother. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sticking with us.
That'll do it for us on the 23 Personnel Podcast. This has been your instant reaction to Texas Tech victorious over Abilene Christian. If you couldn't tell by the tone in our voices, we won 52-51. Texas Tech 1-0. Back next week, Washington State preview will be out Tuesday. Instant reaction late Saturday night, maybe Sunday morning. Well, Michael, Spencer, catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at PuntSuck, and Michael at Michael_LBK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.